I give Kenya 8 hours to surrender the Indian Ocean to Uganda.
So apparently, there've been a quiet war going on between Uganda and Kenya. The president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, and the president of Kenya, Williams Ruto. They've been exchanging words here and there. They've been struggling on who is going to own the Indian Ocean. Majesties, yes, that is exactly what is going on. The presidents have been exchanging words, have been threatening each other. I'm going to capture the Indian Ocean. And the thing is, how do you capture an Indian Ocean? For goodness sake. Now, there are plans put in place by Yoweri Museveni through his son, the general, Muhuzi, yeah. And there have been a lot of fight here and there on the internet between Kenyans and Ugandans, especially when the general said that he gave Kenya 8 hours. 8 hours. I know Uganda is like a landlocked nation, but they claim that they own the Indian Ocean and they have the right to it. This is a water body. I don't see why a nation would say they are the owner of it. Do we own anything in this world? I don't know. Do we own anything? Do any nation own anything? Even as humans, do we own anything? Do we own anything for real? Because by the time we leave this physical plane, we don't go with any of this. I don't know if Museveni is going to move with the Indian Ocean when he dies. I don't know what's going on, but to me, I feel like this is a diversion. Sometimes when there are issues, they deliberately create something that diverts the public's attention. Remember what just happened in Cameroon, right? Pardon the background noise. Mama. Remember what just happened in Cameroon, right? To divert the people's anger from the government decided to sell that particular thing, on a cheaper rate to divert people's attention to other things. And now I'm seeing the same thing playing out here. So there have been a back and forth, a push and pull between Kenyans and the Ugandans about what is really going on between their presidents about the Indian Ocean. I want you to listen to each of the parties say their own mind, and you leave your thoughts there and opinion at the section.
In the ocean, we already have people who are harvesting our resources. We already have huge ships harvesting our resources. We have general here going to protect the ocean. How can we protect the ocean so that other people can harvest our resources? Surely. We must build our own capacity, and we must create the partnership between government of Kenya, all the departments involved, the private sector, so that we can unlock the potential that exists in our blue economy, in the ocean resources that we have, so that we can do three things. Number one, we can enhance food security in Kenya. Number two, we can create jobs for the many young people who today are being harassed with drugs and crime and many other things. And number three, we can use it to grow business, to grow our economy. So there is every reason for us to be able or to do this, and to do it with as much commitment and to deploy as much resources as possible.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has downplayed threats of war issued by Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni over access to the port of Mombasa and the Indian Ocean, insisting Museveni is well aware of international territorial laws. But experts warn that his remarks, including a claim that he, quote, owns the Indian Ocean through Kenyan transit, risk straining bilateral relations and the cohesion of the East African community. NTV's Laban Shaban reports.
Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni is seeking another mandate come January 2026. Museveni is eyeing his 8th consecutive term since seizing power in 1986.
Come and you stand around here, and I don't have the strength to go and stand there.
It is against this backdrop that the former rebel leader has had tongue-wagging remarks touching on Kenya-Uganda relations and the right to access the Indian Ocean when he was unpacking his manifesto during the weekend.
The political organization in Africa is so irrational. Some of the countries have no access to the sea. For economic purposes, but also for defense purposes, you are stuck. How do I export my products? That's why we have got endless discussion with Kenya, and then this one stops, then another one comes, then the railway, the pipeline, the what, we discuss. But that ocean belongs to me. Because where is my ocean? I'm entitled to that ocean. In future, we are going to have wars.
Again, the timing of his remarks, you know, at this time, there are heated campaigns in Uganda. He is seeking for a re-election, which he calls his last term. And could it be that he's speaking to the Ugandans' ears what they want to hear?
The Kenyan government has responded to Museveni through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
I will not comment much on what His Excellency President Museveni said with respect to our oceans, but I believe very much that he does have a fairly great understanding with respect to the nature of our territory and the nature of our right with respect to our natural resources, and his right with respect to natural resources within Ugandan territory.
For the president of Uganda, Yoweri Museveni, to come out at this particular time to specifically hint of a looming war between Uganda and Kenya, to reclaim, or to claim, let me say to claim, what he terms as rightfully belonging to the Ugandans, then it becomes quite absurd, and I would call it deeply dangerous.
I don't think President Museveni will want to draw Uganda into yet another war soon. And of course, this time now, an international war, away from the internal conflicts in Uganda. And I think Ugandans are also aware of this, and history has it that when Uganda waged war against Tanzania in 2 occasions, it suffered most during the War of Mutukula of around 1969-67, and then the Sabasaba War of 1977.
Security analysts read Museveni's tone as more than frustration, a reflection of landlocked nations' vulnerabilities in a region where maritime control definitely means leverage.
And therefore, the argument perhaps of the landlocked states laying claim that is going against the United Nations law of the sea is subject to rational thinking of many states which are landlocked and have a rallying call. And that is when perhaps it can define conflicts of future. So the future may not be today, it may be after a number of years that are calculated in terms of how the landlocked countries are feeling they are oppressed in terms of the existing international law.
Article 125 of United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea gives landlocked Uganda the right to access the sea and transit through Kenya, while recognizing Kenya's sovereignty over its territory. The details of the transit are agreed through bilateral or regional arrangements between the countries. However, Kenya retains the right to protect its legitimate interest as a transit state. In December 2023, Uganda took Kenya to the East African Court of Justice over restrictions that blocked its state oil company from importing fuel through Mombasa. The dispute, stemming from Uganda's dependence on Kenya for 90% of its refined petroleum, was resolved by March 2024, with the first direct shipment arriving in July last year. This highlights Kenya's role as the region's main transit hub.
The intention is not occupation, it's not taking territory. Perhaps the intention for Uganda currently is to have favorable terms of trade.
Museveni's remarks come amid ongoing tensions over cross-border resources, including Migingo Island. During his official visit on 30th July 2025, he and President William Ruto signed a fisheries and aquaculture MOU, a move aimed at sustainable management and joint capacity building, and a step toward resolving long-lasting disputes around the island. Laban Shaban, NTV.
I've got some breaking news for you. Now listen to this. The son of Museveni, that is General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, has said that he is waiting for the green light from Museveni, his father. that Museveni just has to give Muhoozi 8 hours so that he can capture the Indian Ocean. Oh, by the way, how do you capture the Muhoozi general? How do you capture the Indian Ocean? I mean, I want to remind you, you stayed here in Kenya. When your father was in the bush fighting, you were brought here in Kenya. You stayed at around Kajiado or Nakuru, somewhere around there. And please, don't insult Kenyans. I know, some countries have got this kind of attitude of looking down upon Kenyans. Stop insulting our intelligence as Kenyans. Muhoozi, I've called you 2 times. Muhoozi, Chaneiru. Hata si, wewe, Ugandans, it is not Chaneirugaba, it is Kaneirugaba. Chaneirugaba, since when?
Dear fellow Ugandans, let's all share this message to all Kenyans out there. Dear Kenyans, I know most of you saw that viral video of President Museveni while he was on TV, claiming that Indian Ocean belongs to him. And he has a full rights of taking Indian Ocean away from Kenya to be added on the map of Uganda. Most of you picked and went for the negative lines, the negative side of the story. But what you missed was the most important reason as to why he stood on a national TV and he proclaimed that, and he said that Indian Ocean belongs to me. Tomorrow we might have a fight, not a fight between Kenya and Uganda, but a fight of East Africa and the Western countries. Those Western countries who takes us as their puppets. Those Western countries who sees us as their slaves. Those Western countries who have never loved any African, not at all. So most of you, what you understood is that Museveni wants a war in between Uganda and Kenya. You are wrong. President Museveni has once a freedom fighter and still a freedom fighter and one of the strongest presidents in Africa, with Uganda as one of the strongest countries in East Africa and Africa at large. President Museveni sees from far, sees ahead of us. President Museveni has come to realize and to know all the mistakes that all African leaders did in the past. President Museveni has read all the history of Africa. He knows the Africa's problem. Those are the whites. He is not defending us for Africans. He's not defending us for ourselves. He's defending us from our enemies. We as Uganda, you as Kenya, the other way as Tanzania, Rwanda and Burundi, we are no longer countries. We are under one bus. We are under one society as the East African Federation. So far we've even added more 2 countries, making them, actually we are more than even 5 countries. Meaning, with all those countries having one army, one force, one representative, and one mind, we can build East Africa to the biggest percentage of all lines. And then really have come to be disappointed by all Kenyans that you didn't understand what the man meant. Most of you have been fighting President Museveni for no reason. Most of you are bringing negative reasons, negative ideas over the government of President Museveni. For his longevity being in power in Uganda isn't a problem. The problem is one of his colleagues, people he works with, but not him. And secondly, please, Kenyans and other countries, don't look at us as if we have problems. We are so okay, we have freedom. The president has given us much and enough freedom. Let's all look ahead on protecting and fighting and protecting the gains and fighting for East Africa and Africa at large than fighting with ourselves. For God and my country.